welcome back. Thanks for joining us on episode 8. We're going to cover fertilizer. In our last episode we talked about watering. This one we're going to talk about feeding your plants. Feeding your plants is probably the best thing you can do to guarantee lots of beautiful flowers all season long. Flowers need food just like you and I do, but they take their food in several different ways, and we'll cover several different ways that you can do it in your yard. Alright, we've got several different options for fertilizing your plants. When you start seeds at your house, usually it's best to use a liquid type fertilizer. There are several fertilizers out there on the market. Just buy one that you can dissolve in water. When you're fertilizing young seeds, you'll want to start with maybe a quarter concentration, and then as they get bigger, increase how much fertilizer you're giving the plants. You don't want to fertilize more than once a week, once every 2 weeks at the very most. When you're choosing your fertilizer, you have to keep in mind the plant's needs as well. The next type of fertilizer we're going to show you is slow release fertilizer. This would be for larger plants or container gardens, anything where you're going to be needing to fertilize on a regular basis, but you don't necessarily want to do it while you're watering. Slow release fertilizer, you just scatter a little bit onto the top of the soil surface, or you can incorporate it in the soil. This stuff slowly breaks down and releases nutrition all summer long. The third option is if you plan ahead, or if you're wanting to fertilize your garden, you'll get garden fertilizer. It's a granular. You would scatter this into the soil and then incorporate it either by tilling or by sort of roughing up the soil with a rake. It's best for seasonal application, once in the spring, maybe once in the fall, that type of thing. Something else to consider when you're choosing your fertilizer is the grade of the fertilizer. The grade is the 3 numbers that appears on the front of the label. It stands for the 3 major elements that your plant needs to survive: nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Nitrogen gives very leafy, lush growth and makes for stem elongation. Potassium provides for fruit set and enhanced root development, and phosphorus is one of those elements that's just required for photosynthesis. Using a fertilizer like this would be considered a balanced fertilizer, where you have a nice even balance, slightly more potassium, but that's just to enhance flowering. Since we're talking about fertilization, there's a myth out there I want to sort of put an end to about CowPots. Even though it's made from manure, which is a source of fertility and a natural fertilizer, you don't get all the nutrition you need just from the pot. In fact, the plant doesn't even have access to that nutrition until the roots reach the side of the pot. In order to get the roots there, you've got to fertilize them. Fertilizing can be somewhat intimidating, but just remember, they write down all the instructions on the back of the fertilizer pouch, so always follow the instructions. Our next episode is going to be involving pruning and thinning. I hope you'll join us for that. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.